I'm Jaclyn. Welcome to Dreams of Music and Makeup. I am sitting here completely naked-faced, and this is what I look like. I mean, I have some major blemishes happening right now, but I just wanted to get started and show you a look that I think is pretty basic. I like to keep it neutral sometimes and just use the same kind of colors all over the face. I just want to look pulled together, and like I tried, you know, I'm not late because I was sitting there doing my makeup, which is probably the reality of the situation, but let's not talk about it. It's uncomfortable for everybody, particularly myself. This is what I do. I generally will use, you know, the same bronzer I use as a transition shade, keep it pretty uniform all over, and go really basic. I mean, you don't even have to do eyeliner. We're gonna prep the skin. I have already cleansed, toned, all that good stuff. I have moisturized, I have put my SPF on, and that has set in for a significant amount of time, so it's not just tacky and sitting on top of my skin anymore. We're all soaked in and good. I am going to prime my face. Alright, so this is by the Estee Edit. This is a little sample size of the Pore Vanishing stick that they brought out. This is just a pore filling primer. You can use whatever one you have on hand. Benefit makes one called Professional. You can use Maybelline Baby Skin. I have that in my drawer as well. I'm just using this one up because sticks tend to dry out faster and just kind of break apart, and I like the convenience of this too. So I'm just putting that wherever I like to highlight and wherever I have the largest pores. This is the MAC Strobe Cream. It looks so cool. I always look at it before I put it on. Is that weird? But this is what it looks like. Ooh. I don't know if you can really tell that it's like holographic, but that's MAC Strobe Cream. I'm just putting a little bit where I didn't put that pore primer so much, particularly my dry areas. This is just gonna help that kind of matte foundation. I know it's formulated for dry skin, but when I'm dry, even that feels like it sucks the life out. So I like to put a little bit more hydrating, a little bit more luminizing primer underneath that. Since it is so matte, it'll kind of help balance this out a little bit. So I'm just putting a few pumps of that foundation, this Revlon Color Stay in 200 Nude. I'm just putting a couple of pumps of this onto my glass palette, which is actually a glass pillar candle holder. I stole this idea from Tati. I'm gonna go in with that foundation. I just picked up last week this Real Techniques Diamond Sponge. I really enjoy the Beauty Blender and the Real Techniques Complexion Sponge. For me personally, I would rather do something less expensive because of how germy these types of applicators get. But I think they're very similar. This one is $10. Sometimes they do buy one get one half off on Real Techniques. They'll do other sales like that, particularly at Ulta's where I've seen that. But yeah, I think it's a good little sponge. I've used it a few times and I really enjoy it. Something I've experienced with all my makeup sponges, really, even with the Beauty Blender, even with the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, and even with this Diamond Sponge, I don't know why, when I am going to put on like concealer or something, and maybe it's just this foundation, but when I go to put on like concealer or something, so much of the time, if any part of this sponge touches my face that does not already have makeup on it, it removes everything. If you even slightly overlap, like just the tiniest bit where there's no foundation, you have to completely redo that whole area. Let me know if that's you guys too, or if it's just me. beauty and I love makeup, but I'm also not the kind of person who needs to always have the latest and greatest thing either. Like, yes, am I using this Tarte Shape Tape Concealer? Yes, I finally got this about 3 weeks ago. So you'll see that I'm having like the foundation side down like this, so that this blank side is not touching my skin anywhere because it'll take the product off. I'm gonna use this Tarte Shape Tape as my primer, my eye primer today. I won't do this if I have a long day because my eyelids are just too oily to rely on concealer to keep it creaseless that long. But it's the afternoon and frankly, I'm gonna have a pretty quiet evening, so I'm not too worried about this lasting or holding up all day long. If you are concerned about this holding up all day long, do the same thing. Just put, blend in your concealer only under your eyes and the other spots you want to conceal, just not on your lids. Put a primer there instead. That'll last you all day. Something I started doing shortly before I got this Shape Tape concealer is not setting my under eye right away. Those of us who inevitably crease here, there's just some small fine lines right under my eyes. It's just how I'm shaped. It's not a big deal. But because of that, my concealer always creases there because there's just these tiny little folds and it can, so it does. What I like to do is let it kind of settle. I like to take an area that's almost clean. This is just slightly like stained. It probably doesn't even have any foundation on it. Just make sure there's not excess water there. And once it does crease, I'll go in there and just tap it out again. And then I wait a little bit longer. If it creases again, I do the same thing. If it doesn't crease very badly again, then I know I can set it pretty quickly. So you can see I'm already starting to crease. You can see particularly on this eye. I'm gonna tap that out a little bit. I promise I'm being really gentle. I know it looks like I'm like super bouncing around and I'm not. So that looks better to me. Do the same thing on this side. To set my under eye, I like to use the e.l.f. High Definition Under Eye Setting Powder. I've seen this compared to the Laura Mercier Under Eye Powder, Secret Brightening Powder. This one is far less expensive, as you may have guessed. It'll run you about $3 at Target or anywhere else you can find it. Walmart even carries e.l.f. now. So you can see I'm creasing again. You can see. Tap, tap, tap. But I'm just taking that on my Sigma tapered highlighting brush and just tapping right over that concealer because we don't want any of it to move. Gotta tap out my lid again. Concealer is just, it's not primer, it's not the same thing. It's just not. So for me, basically I don't recommend this step if you're gonna wear this all day because it's not gonna look good at the end. Use a primer. Use a primer, dang it. Again, tapping, tapping, tapping. So after that, I'm gonna take this, it's dirty, forgive me. This Wet n Wild Fluffy Crease Brush from their collection they released this summer, the white and pink. It's now white and tan because it's dirty. Brulee Single Shadow, this is also by Wet n Wild. Looks like this, it's a little bit lighter than my skin tone. And I'm just gonna take that on this fluffy brush and use that to additionally set. Let's do it on the lid as well. This is my favorite thing to set primer with. I want to highlight first. I picked up a couple of these ColourPop highlighters. They're pretty inexpensive. I think they're $8. So are their blushes and bronzers. Sorry, I just keep looking at this pigment because it's just so pretty. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera how it looks in real life, but it has kind of a duochrome shift of both gold and slightly peachy pink. This is called Stole the Show by ColourPop. I'll show you if that helps. I have not used this in a couple of months because though I love the color, I was really frustrated with applying it with my finger. They're a really weird formulation. They're very gel-like, but they don't pick up traditionally on regular brushes very well. So you need to use a synthetic hair brush and you have to really get in there. So I feel like, basically I feel like it's a lot of work and a lot of wasted product for things like this, but I really like this color and I'm going to use it because I have it. It's going to be a really good base for what I'm going to go on with for powder highlighter. So I just tried to coat like all the sides of this little setting brush. See how we do. I have not set with powder yet. That's why I'm doing this step now. You see I'm just patting it on there gently because I don't want it to take off what's underneath. And that still kind of did. See what I mean? How makeup just doesn't want to stick to my nose. All my freckles just want to be shown at all times. Something I noticed the other day on someone who has a similar nose shape to mine is that they highlighted it differently. I wanted to try that. Because my nose is so narrow that I actually contour mine to try to make it look wider, to make it more proportioned with my face. I'm gonna go in and set my whole face. This is a Crown, just a fluffy powder brush. It doesn't have a name on it, so I'm sorry. This was likely a part of a set that I purchased several years ago. I'm gonna try this Besame powder to set my face today. The Besame powder I just used. It's in the shade Translucent. There's a vanilla and then there's a French vanilla for medium to deep skin tones. It has a little bit deeper yellow color to it. They also have some brightening powders in like pink and purple shades, which is kind of fun. So on that Sigma brush I already used to set my under eyes, the tapered highlighting brush, I'm just going to tap a little bit of that Ben Nye Cameo powder I was talking about under there. Because I do feel like I lost a little bit of the coverage when I had to buff out that concealer so many times. Awesome. And then I want to bronze. Just add some color back in the face so I don't look so flat. It's the Wet n Wild Ticket to Brazil bronzer. It's like the most giant bronzer ever. But I'm taking that on this e.l.f. complexion brush, which is really soft. It's really good for this. And I'm just adding a little bit of definition around my cheekbones. attempt to contour using this as well. See how that goes. See, there's no creasing on my eyelids now. Just taking a bit of that bronzer on here, placing that just above where my crease would be since I have hooded eyes. I'm creating a false crease by going up here and creating some depth. I like to kind of wing my eyeshadow out. It kind of gives a little bit of a lift to the outer corner of my eye. You don't have to do that. You can keep this in a round shape if you prefer. I'm going to grab my eyeliner now. This is the Physicians Formula Eye Booster. It's called their 2-in-1 Lash Boosting Eyeliner Plus Serum. This is in the shade Ultra Black. It, like the Kat Von D one, has a brush tip applicator. This is uncommon. A lot of them have felt tip applicators, which I believe is subpar, because when those ones cake up with glitter and stuff on the tip, you can't really do anything about it, and the pen stops flowing, and that really sucks. These brush tip ones, since they're individual bristles, you see? When they get coated with glitter or whatever and it stops flowing freely, you just wipe it off on a sturdy paper towel. In fact, I'm just gonna do that anyway. I'm gonna go in and do just a little tight lining. That. See how it just makes your eyelashes look denser? A lot of people do this under the lash line with like a gel or a pencil liner. I personally can't do that. Like, my eyes just reject anything on my waterline whatsoever, and it just ends up in a really gnarly glob in the center of my, in the middle here, and it is not cute. So I just stopped trying to do that a couple years ago. Let's move on to the next segment. Let's do a little brow. This color is called Cheek Pollen. It's a satin blush from MAC Cosmetics. This was a part of a limited edition collection. I can't even remember what collection it was a part of. It adds a little bit of warmth to my cheeks without being too crazy and looking like I'm wearing blush. I'm going to use my short handle 129 by MAC as well. This one was a special edition one, is why it's a short handle. You can buy their long handle version of the same brush. So I'm just going to smile and apply blush. Highlight, I'm actually going to be using an eyeshadow. I remember when I first saw this and thought, I'm not using that as an eyeshadow, I'm using that as a highlight. This is Kat Von D Thunderstruck, which if you've ever swatched it, you know it's a duochrome, like yellow and pink. reflect, which I really enjoy. And this is the Sephora 79 Pro Contour Brush. And I just dipped it in there gently because you can see how much product came off. I'm just going to layer that over top of that cream highlight that we did earlier because I think they're very similar. So I'm going to go in with this ColourPop Lippy Pencil in Dopey, which is kind of a true mauve. See, kind of on the end there. This is a lighter mauve in their Ultra Satin Lip formula, and it's called Little Stitious, which of course makes me think of The Office. I really enjoy these lip pencils. Really nice and creamy, and for the price, it's kind of the best available. This is our finished look. You can set this with setting spray. That's what I would normally do. Since I don't have a long day ahead of me, I'm not going to. This is something that you can just kind of do if you don't want to do a whole lot of different things and you just need something kind of simple. I know it took a long time to get here, but that's more to do with my inexperience with filming and less to do with the makeup itself. Live and learn.